Welcome to Bloom Today. We have a bright show for you. We'll be discussing when emotions become just too much. We talk about internal and external brokenness and how you can heal
so that you can use the fertilizer of your past to bloom today. Welcome, everybody. Today we are talking about when emotions become too much. What emotions? I don't feel emotions. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not fair. I feel emotions everywhere, all the time. 100% of the time. How else can I say 100% of the time? All the time. All the feels, all of them. No, but you don't have that experience all the time, do you?
Well, I do more so these days. Part of my healing process has been being willing to feel and feel some more because I can't heal if I'm not actually connected to myself, if I'm not feeling those emotions. But I learned when I was 2 years old that I needed to shut them down because I would get beaten until I quit crying. Yeah. So if you can't cry, then you start going, okay, well, if I'm going to get hurt worse and worse if I cry, then I'm going to shut that down. And it ends up, if you shut down, it's like general anesthesia. You have to shut everything down, which meant I had no joy emotions either, no gladness, no happiness. It was just all dead, like nothing, because that was how I survived.
So foreign. So such a foreign concept to me.
It's called dissociation.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's actually a term for that. And I mean, yes. I've worked with a number of women as a coach who have had the same experience. And for all of them, what I discovered the pattern is trauma or some kind of extreme loss or emotion as a young child.
Yes. We learn fast when we're little because we're building our systems and how things are wired together in that developmental stage. And so when that damage or trauma or loss is younger, the younger it is, actually the more fast that dissociation or disconnect can happen. And if you have attachment issues on top of that, where you haven't had proper bonding with parents and family members and whatever, and then you add trauma or extreme loss or these things, it just derails really fast. And we can't handle that overload. And as little children, we just separate, just disconnect there. Yeah.
It's fascinating to me because, again, God has actually given me a little taste of what it might feel like in my own experience through my healing process. Just here in the past year or two, and it's highly disconcerting because I came to you and said, this is what I'm feeling. It's so surreal. I don't quite understand. It almost felt like something, like my life had happened to someone else. And that, I'm like, but I know I'm me. So how is this working? You said what I described to you as dissociation was just sort of my first identifying with it. And it's not something that I experience on a regular basis, certainly. And I don't, obviously recommend it, because if we are to heal from anything, we do need to walk through the emotions. We do need to feel them, process them, release them, crying, the grief process.
Emotional detox. Oh boy, do we need emotional detox.
It is the one thing that I needed to get through. What I did was try to stuff without dissociating, which is harder.
Well, you use chemicals to do that. You use
eventually,
entertainment to do that. We can use all kinds of things, and I did those things as well when I was in less trauma situations. The disconnect wouldn't be as severe, and then I would need to distract. I would need to get my mind somewhere, anywhere except. But yeah, with the
and I helped a whole lot of people as well. I tried to focus on them, fix them, do their thing instead of focusing on my own thing. Anything to sort of do the distraction and try and push that out of the way. But all it did was snowball everything underneath. And even with dissociation, it's still it's still there, but it will come out in other ways. It'll come out in sickness, illness.
That was a big thing for me.
Yeah,
I was sick all the time.
Physical dysfunction and things that will get in your way until it's the body's warning signs of, hey, there's something here. Look at it. And we know a couple people who've said they've gone to their doctors, and their medical doctor, not their psychological doctor, but their medical doctor is the one who said, these are all signs of childhood trauma.
Right. And
that's something that you probably need to look at, because your organs are literally shutting down. Like, your body is shutting down, and there's no other reason for it. It's like it goes beyond psychosomatic at a certain point. When everything is shutting down, it then becomes a ripple effect and all of that. But when the start is psychosomatic, you can absolutely start to process those emotions, feel them, and work through the trauma so that you can then get physical healing as well.
Yeah, and for part of that, you have to be willing to face pain. You have to be willing, and I would trade physical pain, which I've had some extreme versions of physical pain, but I would trade that any day of the year for emotional pain. Emotional pain is so much more difficult for me, and I think most people, and that's why there's so much dysfunction around that emotional pain. And I had to switch my mindset from emotional pain being evil or the worst thing or whatever, and actually start going, you know what? It's okay to hurt. Right. It's okay to face pain. It's okay to grieve.
Right.
Because that was the only way I was going to face the healing pain of actually processing and working through that stuff, so that I could reconnect to myself and I could actually start healing, so that I could feel the joy and the gladness and the excitement, so I could laugh and I could cry. And we laugh because we laugh a lot. And that's actually one of my emotional detox forms at times, is to laugh hysterically, which we have seen on this taping. We do that. Sure. But also, to do that and get it all out of your system, then you can feel the rest of the emotions. And I am not my emotions, but I definitely want to be in tune with them, because they tell me so much about where I can go to God and how I can get help and what my connections are and things around me. They're warning signs. They are healthy things that God gave us to experience life and be there.
Yeah. And you talked about the emotional versus the physical, and you wanted the physical, or you would rather not that you would want
pain's
the
not
physical.
Good, just in general.
Let's be honest. Nobody wants it. But if you had the choice between the two, and for me, that was, I couldn't fathom that. That was so out of the box for me, because physical pain triggered me emotionally to a very bad, terrified place. So I never understood that and never separated the two. So when I thought about physical pain, or when I underwent physical pain, I was going through the emotional pain all at the same time, and I felt like a little kid, and it was the fear and the panic attacks and all of that were still coming up as a result, the anxiety and all of that. And that, so it was a perfect cluster storm right there of all those things. And so I had to be okay with feeling the physical pain, going, okay, I'm safe. Like, this is, if there is a physical pain happening, it doesn't also mean that all this emotional stuff is real. Like, it's old. It's not happening to me right this second. And, and it was a process for me to work that through, but then to get to the place where, okay, now I can feel physical pain, and it doesn't automatically trigger all the emotional stuff as well. So now I understand when you say, oh, I probably just wanted the physical. that felt a little bit easier.
Yeah, and for a lot of extreme trauma victims, the physical pain can actually be a grounding reality thing, a tangible thing, and depending on the damage, that can actually get twisted up into masochism and a desire for pain and self-harm and cutting and all that kind of stuff, because it feels like it's a tangible way to release that emotional pain. And again, it's all twisted mess that the enemy does to try to prevent us from healthy processing and healthy ways of working through the damage and the trauma, so that we can heal, and then God can start using that for good, instead of it just being this destructive, damaging thing. Right. So I'm super excited that I've had the opportunity to learn and grow in that process, and be able to go, okay, I can feel pain, physical or emotional, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I don't like it, but it's okay. And I will get through it.
Right.
I will be able to heal.
And it has the opportunity to bring healing.
Yes. We call it healing pain, right?
Yeah, there is healing pain versus damaging pain, and we talk about that in Recovery Strategies for Life in the curriculum that we created, because there is a difference. So there is hope, even with that pain emotionally and physically.
And we have a guest.
We have a guest who's also going to share with us about her experience with emotions, and she's a speaker and an author, and she's been a businesswoman as well, and had a fantastic career despite all of the challenges that she went through. So stay tuned for Sue McGray.
Yay!
Welcome, Sue. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jenny.
I'm just so thrilled to have you here. We have been in Christian Women in Media together for years.
Yes.
And you have been such a blessing to us, so I'm
and
so
I have
thankful.
seen both of you grow so much.
We have too.
It's been an adventure.
It has. It has.
So I'm just thrilled that you get to share your story with us today.
Thank you.
Because your story with emotions started when you were young as well.
Very young. I was really young when my parents, if I acted up, which I must have been actively acting up, they locked me in the smokehouse. Most every afternoon I got locked in the smokehouse. And I learned really early how to lock down, because if I showed out, if I expressed my feelings in any way, if it was anything other than total compliance, then I got put in the smokehouse. And it was dark and cold and damp and scary for a little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
And I kept those feelings way into adulthood without even realizing it through a lot of other things. I would unconsciously, all at once, be locked in the smokehouse emotionally.
Right.
Yeah, I think we know exactly what that feels like, to feel like you're younger again when you have that trigger coming back.
Yeah.
But you also had a loss, didn't you?
As a teenager, boarding my school bus one morning, we'd just moved to the Nashville area. We'd lived in the country. We moved to Nashville, and I was attending a much larger school than I was ever used to. And I boarded the school bus there was other kids around that boarded at the same time, and my little sister, Ann, who was 8 at the time, was the last one to get on the bus, or attempt to get on the bus. We got down to the next stop, and the bus driver opened the door, and kids picked up a shoe and held a shoe up. And kids just are kids, and they laughed. And I saw the shoe, and I didn't laugh. That was my sister's shoe. So I got off the bus, and I ran back up the hill to my house, and she was laying in the road. Now, Ann was my sister, but Ann was mine. She was my child. I didn't give birth to her, but she was mine. I made her clothes. I was a teenager, but in big families, that's what you did, is you took care of each other. I cut her hair, I made her clothes, I took care of her. She was mine. And the loss, I've never totally recovered. I've healed a lot by being able to talk about it. But I ran back up the hill, and she was laying in the road. I had no way of knowing at the time that the bus had run up, crushed her body. I didn't know that. So I got a blanket, called my parents. They met us at the hospital. I called my brother. He picked us up, me and my siblings. And there was a radio station back then called WKDA, and they would wave the black flag. We're in the car with all of us siblings, my brother driving, he left work, and WKDA, I guess I shouldn't say that, but I don't think they're around anymore, waved the black flag and announced, as I'm telling my siblings, she's going to be okay, she's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. And they said Desi Ann Smith was run over by the school bus and killed this morning. Well, we just about wrecked. We pulled off the side of the road. I was still in denial. It wasn't until we got to the door of the hospital and I heard my parents wailing, totally wailing, that I realized that Ann was dead. But, you know, we have to take care of ourselves. We do what we have to do. So that day, Jenny, I took care of it. I went to the backyard and I found myself a stick. As a kid, I knew I had to do something. I dug a hole and I symbolically buried my feelings. I vowed that I would never have that kind of pain ever again. Because it hurt too much to feel, to love, to care.
Right.
So they went in that hole and they stayed there for so long.
Gosh.
And I'd already been prepared by being locked in the smokehouse of knowing not to have feelings and knowing how painful it could be. And then when I lost my sister, her picture hangs on my wall today. Now, growing up, that same picture hung over the mantle, but we never talked about Ann.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, essentially, you put your feelings and Ann into that hole.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
Today there's counseling, and today there's help. And their parents got help by friends consoling them, but the kids got nothing. And so each one of us suffered in our own way.
Right.
I have a sister that's between us, and I lived most of my life missing my sister that's alive because I was suffering the sister that I lost.
Right.
I didn't realize that I didn't know my other sister because all my energy had gone to my loss.
Right.
Because shutting down has consequences.
Yeah.
In a list of things. It ruins relationships because we can't love and connect when we're shut down and have all of that buried. But actually, I'm super proud of you because you're right now feeling those emotions and you're willing to do it here, being transparent and honest about the reality of that. And I know what it takes to switch from that frozen, shut down, won't let anything get through to being in a place where you're willing to, and it's making me tear up because that is such a place of healing for you that you can be honest about it and actually be real with that pain and hardship and grief that is so tough.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes people feel a little uncomfortable if you're talking about your loss, but if they just knew that it's cleansing for the one that's in that place, just know that it's okay for them to cry or talk about it or express those feelings.
Yeah. Every time we get it out, it's a little bit more healing.
A little bit more. It's amazing. It's like it washes it a little bit more. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I know that I met you when, I didn't meet you here, but we were together at the domestic violence shelter, and I know that you have such a heart for women who have been hurt that way, and I know that's because it's a part of your story as well. In being shut down emotionally, that led you into and kept you in. I was
set up to become codependent. Right. I married a man. I married right out of high school. The same week I graduated. I didn't want to get married. I wasn't ready. But I didn't have enough within me to say so. I didn't have enough self-esteem to even know anything. And so I married right out of high school. That marriage lasted unbelievably almost 30 years because, again, I was conditioned.
To both abuse and to shutting down.
I was, and then I was taught, more is caught than is taught, and I was raised in a very strict, my parents were Christians, my dad was a pastor, but it was reinforced that nobody in our family has ever been divorced. There's no divorces in our family. The pride of never having a divorce, and then here I am in a situation that needs fixing. So
I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
That's why I stayed 15 years, but it was that you can't get divorced and you must deserve the abuse. So you just shut down and deal with it.
Yeah, you just do. And I thought if I can hang on until my parents are gone, then I can do what I have to do. But, I met a lady named Patty. And she owned a drugstore in a small town. I was there for some reason. I found myself in her back room. We had been acquaintances, but not really good friends. And Patty said to me, out of the blue, Sue, what is it going to take? It was like, wow. What does she know? She doesn't know anything. She can't know. I haven't talked to her. And what I was going through at home and the abuse had gone from verbal, emotional to physical, and it was so hard. And my friend Patty said, "What is it going to take?" Yeah. And it was from that I got my life right with God. I had pretty much gone on the premise that, Daddy's got this taken care of. Whatever needs, Daddy reads the Bible, Daddy prays.
Right, he was a preacher, right?
Yeah. But God didn't have grandchildren.
No, he only has children.
He has children.
Yeah.
So it took me getting to the lowest.
Right.
Yeah.
And Patty saying that to me, that on a Wednesday night, I met my pastor in his study and just made it right. And, all at once, even though I had thought that I had taken care of it as a child, all at once things were different. I saw things differently. I wanted to read the scripture. I hungered, had that hunger
Absolutely.
that I'd not had before. And so I lay a lot of it to, for some of us, we just have to go through a lot.
Yes.
With you there.
We know about that. But God has done some healing and redeeming, because I know you are wearing a wedding ring, so God did something with that.
I was at my parents' house one afternoon, and I started to leave, and Daddy said, "Honey, I'm praying for you, a godly man, a godly husband." And oh man, I got all over him. I said, "Don't you dare, I am just fine. I don't need a man. I can pay my own bills.
Yep.
I'm okay. I am good."
Yeah.
But that man came into my life, and the joy of having a healthy relationship is so different. And I do not advocate divorce. I do not. You don't want to do that. No. But if there's situations where something has to break, you're gonna take care of somebody, and you're gonna have to take care of yourself.
Right.
And so God has been so good to me. Dwayne McGray and I've been married now almost 23 years.
Incredible. And he's awesome. We've gotten to meet him and be around him, and he is really
encouraging. He is.
And a fabulous gardener.
Absolutely. He encouraged me to write my feelings. I started out writing for my grandchildren. I have 5 granddaughters, and I wanted them to know a little bit more about my road, my journey, where I came from. The only thing they really knew is they came to my house and we played dress up, and I wanted them to know there was more to it than that. So I started a book and started speaking, and Becoming Visible has it helped me to heal, and I think hopefully it's helped other people to realize sometimes I'm speaking and women will just start to cry and they say, "That's my story. That's my story."
There's a lot of us.
Yeah, that felt invisible. And I love that the title of the book, Becoming Visible, is not just the title of the book, but it's the title of the journey that you went on to write the book as well.
It truly is. It truly is, because when you first say the word, it's like, if you don't know that there's a backstory here, it's not just a word. It's not just a title.
Right.
But I really did feel. I thought you couldn't see me. I think the first time I realized it, I went to a high school reunion and walked into a room by myself, and I thought, it doesn't matter about anything because they can't see me anyway. And I thought, what? But see, if you can't see yourself, other people can't see you either.
And it's part of the dissociation we do when we have to shut everything down.
Absolutely.
Right? And it is disconnecting from ourselves, and that's where the invisibility comes in. And we talk to ladies all the time that say that. I need to stay invisible to be safe.
Oh,
and invisibility is a piece of the reaction to trauma. And so that's very much a piece of that, but becoming visible is part of the healing.
Yes. And now, you also said that your healing from your sister's death happened along the same lines of becoming visible, where you actually had to share with your daughter.
My daughter really pulled a lot out of me. I named her Amanda, and a lot of times I would just call her Ann without even thinking about it. But Amanda would say, tell me about Ann. How did that happen? Tell me. And she would do that repeatedly. And sometimes I would just be so uncomfortable because I didn't want to talk about Ann. Right. I didn't want to get that out because I felt all these feelings again. Right. It's like it's coming up out of that big black hole and I can't deal with it. But a lot of the healing did come about because of Amanda and God's grace and giving me the child that I needed at that time to pull that out of me, to help me to get it out, to face it. And we mentioned my divorce and all of that, but some of that, there's a lot of blame, but some of that has to go to me because I had no feelings. I didn't know how to communicate. It was like I was right here.
Right, and it's a damage that comes out of that brokenness, and that's why we talk about needing to face the pain and the damage and all of the pieces of it to heal so that we're not perpetuating that brokenness.
And there's many things that was wrong in that relationship. Part of that, I have to take the responsibility that I was emotionless. You know, you couldn't reach me.
Right.
And became codependent, and I still have some of those traits.
We're all healing. We're all in journey. We're all on a journey.
You mean you're not perfect?
We're becoming visible.
I mean, you look stunning, so we just assume, you've got it all together and you're perfect. Right, Southern Belle just got it all.
Yeah, sure. Keep believing that.
You totally look it. You're gorgeous.
Well, you are beaming, so, there's definitely a lot of healing that's happened on the journey.
It has. And God is good.
Yes, and you've been a huge part of encouraging us, encouraging me in my journey of both healing and in my journey of ministering out of that brokenness by your transparency and your honesty with me, and your putting that out there, and your encouragement has been a huge piece for me as well. So I just want to let you know it's that, and I know there's so many viewers who are going to connect with what you're sharing, and that's going to bring hope to them.
Yes, thank you. Yes, because so many people, it takes them a long time to talk about it, and that's a normal thing. It's not something we advocate for, but we want people to share. But it is something that we find happens with a lot of people. But when they're ready, and they're finally ready, that can be so healing. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you for sharing your story, for being authentic and honest with us. And thank you for using
the fertilizer of your past to bloom today.